सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। शास्त्रयोनित्वा तथा वो ब्रह्म जिज्ञासा has been done. So, because karma is not the sadhanam for moksha, therefore one has to know Brahman, for which one has to do mimamsa, jignasa. Then what is the definition of Brahman? Which Brahman are you talking? Chaturmukha Brahman? Or some Brahmana, or some Veda. What is it? No, Brahma Vastu Jagat Karanam Brahma. You have to know the Brahman which is Jagat Karanam. Janma Jasyataha. Then, all right, what is the Pramanam for it? Shastra Yonitva. That Brahman is Sarvajnam. Why? Sarvajnam Brahma is Jagat Karanam. Why is that Brahman is Sarvajnam? Because Shastra Yonitvam. Why? What is Shastra Yonitvam? He is the author of the Shastram. He is the source of that Pramanam, like he is the source of every Pramanam anyway. So Pramanam, Brahman is the source of Pratyakshadi Pramana. Brahman also is the source of Shabda Pramanam. That's one meaning. The second meaning which is going to run through the text is the second meaning, that is, that Brahman is indeed Jagat Karanam. In this matter, Shastram alone is Pramanam. Anumanadi are not Pramanam. Up to this we have seen. Now the next question is going to be, well, how can we establish that the Shastram is Pramanam? So, for that, in answer to that, to explain how Shastram is Pramanam, Pramana Siddhi, how Vedanta is a Pramanam in Brahma Vidya. For this is the next Adhikaranam called Samanvayadhikaranam. So before we go into Samanvayadhikaranam, we can learn how to make sambar. सांबार बनाने का पद्धति सीखेंगे. समझ गए ना? हमें जी व्हाट इज द कनेक्शन? कनेक्शन है. इसको समझेंगे तो पूरा समझ लिया. पूरा द होल थिंग विल बी क्लियर. Everybody wants to eat. Everybody wants to eat. It is not something individualistic. Everybody wants to eat. It is swabhavika ichha, the universal desire to eat, the universal desire. Everybody wants to have the sukham, the pleasure of eating. The desire for the pleasure of eating is universal. This is called swabhavikam. And within that desire, within the context of the desire for eating, there can be a desire, a given desire. The desire for pleasure is universal. But there can be a person who wants to have who wants to have the pleasure of eating sambar. The love for the pleasure of eating, sukha prapti. The love for sukham or the sukham of eating is universal, but within that universal desire, or the desire for the pleasure of eating, one can have that desire for the pleasure of eating sambar. Now, I can say, if you want to eat sambar, cook sambar. This is called vidhi vakyam. This is called vidhi vakyam. If you want to have the pleasure, if you want to have the pleasure of eating sambar, then cook sambar and you will eat it. You will get sambar. Cook sambar. If you want to eat sambar, under that is implied. Sambar kamaha. The one who wants to have the pleasure of eating sambar, let him cook sambar. This is what is called vidhi vakyam. This is called vidhi vakyam. Now the one who gives the vidhi vakyam must also give the knowledge of how to cook. This is, he must tell. He must give basically who should cook. This is called kartrujnanam. Who should cook? Having taken a bath, having cooked chandan, then let him cook, and he should have a desire, a strong desire for sambar. And if a person who doesn't have any desire for sambar, if you ask him to cook sambar, he will make something else. The one who loves to eat alone can be a good cook, please understand. This is called the one who says, the one who gives the vidhi vakyam. Cook sambar if you want to have the pleasure of eating it. That is the vidhi vakya. And he should also give the kartrujnanam. Who should cook? And he should also tell the materials to be used in cooking that sambar. This is called sadhana jnanam. Sadhanas means the various materials used. To give sadhana jnanam, that is mandatory. Now, in this context, the one who gives the vidhi vakyam and the one who also gives the kartrujnanam and the one who gives also the sadhana jnanam, while giving that jnanam, he suddenly makes a statement. Pumpkin is very good. Pumpkin is very good. What is this vakya? In the context of that vidhi vakya, pumpkin is very good. Full stop. This statement is a statement of fact. This is called bhutartha vishaya vakya, meaning a statement of description of an object. Now, describing a given object, how can it give me pleasure? Because I want the pleasure, sukham. that pumpkin is good is not going to give me any pleasure, because it is a statement of describing an object. In itself, it has no prayojanam. But it gets connected to, it implies use it in sambar, use it in cooking sambar. That particular vakya, that pumpkin is good, is called Arthavada Vakya. What is it called? Arthavada Paravakya. Meaning, I am praising pumpkin. That statement of praise of pumpkin has no relevance independent of that Vidhivakya. Arthavada Vakya has no usefulness independent of the Vidhivakya. So when I say pumpkin is good, it means use it for sambar. And again I say, उसने आलू का सांबार बनाया फिर रोया. अरोदित. एक आदमी ने आलू का सांबार बनाया, उसने रोया. Now, this is a description of an event. And this statement of description of an event by itself doesn't give me any pleasure by itself. It means what? Don't use aloo in making sambar. This is what? Pratishedha, nishedha. It is also arthavada. It is arthavada, means what? Highlighting the flaw of a given object. Don't use aloo in making sambar. That is conveyed by aloo is bad. It is stating, it is describing the flaws, certain defects in aloo. Now that statement of description of aloo by itself doesn't give me any sukham. But in that context, it is used, therefore it should be connected to Vidhivakyam as something to be avoided. Therefore, pumpkin is good is called Arthavada Vakya. This is called Stuti Para Arthavada. Arthavada can be in the sense of praising something, or it can be in the sense of, criticizing or highlighting the limitation of it, Ninda Para. So, Stuti Paravakya is Arthavada Paravakya. Ninda Paravakya also is Arthavada Vakya. But Arthavada Vakya has no relevance at all, is not useful, unconnected to Vidhivakya. This point must be grasped, otherwise आगे कुछ नहीं समझ में आएंगे. Arthavada Vakya is always connected to Vidhivakya. In that manner, if you say Atma is Brahma, it is a statement of description of the Atma as Brahma. Now, a statement of description of an object, it is not useful in itself. It must be connected to Vidhivakya. So, Vedanta talks about Brahman, and that Brahma, as described as unlimited, etc., you connect it to karma. Like Indra is a Devata, Agni is a Devata, Varuna is a Devata. Similarly, Vedanta describes another Devata called Brahma. Brahma is a Devata. And Devata Jnanam is necessary for doing karma. So Vedanta gives you Devata Jnanam, Brahma Devata Jnanam, so that you can use that Brahma Devata Jnanam in performing karma. So, when Vedanta talks about Brahma, so the entire Vedanta, which is descriptive of Brahman, it is not a swataha independent pramanam, it is a arthavada paravakyam. The entire Vedanta is what? Arthavada. And Arthavada has no relevance at all, it has no usefulness at all without getting connected to the vidhi, karma. And use your Brahma Jnanam in performing the rituals, so that those rituals can give you sukham. Rituals, the performance of the rituals will bring you some objects, and when you enjoy those objects, you will get sukham. And everybody wants sukham. Say sukham. Therefore, what is Vedanta? This is Purvapakshi is talking. Purvapakshi is talking. According to the Purvapakshi, what is this Vedanta? Hey, your whole Vedanta is Arthavada. Why? Because in Amnaya, the Veda, no Vakya is useful unconnected to Vidhi, unconnected to action. Because it is the action ultimately that would make you happy. It is the action that would bring the result, and when you enjoy those results, you will become happy, and that is what you want anyway in life. So Vedanta gives you the description of Brahma Devata, and Brahma Devata Jnanam you use it in Karma Kanda, in rituals, and perform rituals and you get the results. Okay. And if you are not very happy to connect, to use Brahma Jnanam, the description of Brahman, if you don't want to use that knowledge, that description about Brahman, if you don't want to use it for karma, then you can use it for upasana that is mentioned in Vedanta itself. So if you say that Karma Kanda is too before, whereas Vedanta is too later, they are two different topics, how can I connect Brahma Jnanam to the physical rituals if you have these inhibitions? Then all right, use your Brahma Jnanam for Brahma Upasana. And Upasana also is a vidhi, it is a mental action, it is a mental worship. Physical worship is karma, and mental worship is upasana. Therefore, use your Brahma Jnanam well for upasana. In that manner, the Vedanta, which is Arthavada, gets connected to Vidhi Vakya. Vidhi means the act of worship. Like when we say, pumpkin is good, means use it for making sambar. That is the implication. Otherwise, pumpkin is good is Arthavada Vakya. Pumpkin is good is Arthavada Vakya. But Arthavada Vakya unconnected to the Vidhi Vakya called make sambar, it is of no use, it will not bring me any pleasure. Pumpkin is good, it won't give me anything. But the one who talks about how to make sambar, when he says pumpkin is good, he means use it in sambar. Similarly, Brahman is unlimited when Vedanta says, hey, use this description in your upasana. Use this description that Brahman is unlimited, Brahman is Satyam, Brahman is Jnanam, Brahman is Anantam. Use this description to do mental worship. In that manner, the whole Vedanta becomes useful. Becomes useful. Unconnected to Vidhi, Arthavada Vakya has no meaning. And no Arthavada Vakya can be looked upon as useless because it has intrinsic connection to Vidhi Vakya. Therefore, in the entire Veda, no Vakya is useless. Every Vakya is useful because it gets connected to Vidhi Vakya. If this idea is clear, now based on this idea is the objection here. Before we get to the sutra, there is a objection. Mimamsa is the Purvapaksha here. Okay? Now we can see. Swamiji, who said that we will know how to make sambar. Just now we have learned. Use pumpkin. Let us read. Katham punaham brahmanaham shastra pramanakatvam uchyate yavatam amnayasya priyattatvat anarthakyam adadarthanam iti kriyaparatvam shastrasya pradarshitam. Purvapaksha, a strong Mimamsa Purvapaksha. Because Mimamsakas, we have to make a distinction between Karma Kanda and Mimamsa. Mimamsa is a school which takes a stand that Veda Pramanam is meant only to give you, to help you do various actions, various rituals, so that you can get the results of those rituals, so that you can enjoy them, so that you can get the sukha. This is the Mimamsaka. They do not accept that Veda is meant to talk about what is. Veda is meant to talk about an action that is not there now. It is meant to teach man how to perform various actions. And Veda is not a pramanam in the matter of stating what is. Why? If there is something which is, in the matter of what is, pratyakshadi are pramanas. As per the Mimamsakas, in the matter of what is, pratyakshadi are the pramanas. What is in Sanskrit is called, their language, bhutartha. The Mimamsaka language is bhutartha. Bhutartha means an object that is there, a fact that is there, jo bhi already there. And Veda is meant to help you create what is not, to create pleasures that are not there now. There is no pleasure in my mind. I don't have pleasure in my mind. Then how do I get? You do an action, and action brings punya. Punya brings objects, and objects become enjoyed. You come to your own karma makes you enjoyed. Okay, you can't escape them. The sukham will be born in the mind. And therefore, which pleasure is born in the mind? The pleasure that was hitherto not there. Therefore, it is creating what is not. So, Veda is meant to create the pleasure which is not there now, but it is meant to create that pleasure for you. It is not meant to talk about the world because it is bhutartha. The world is bhutartha. And if there is some Brahman, that also should be bhutartha. And in the matter of bhutartha, Veda is not a pramanam. Then what would be the pramanam in the matter of bhutartha as per the Mimamsakas? Pratyakshadi are the pramanam. This is how Mimamsaka thinks. Now he asks a question, now to begin first sentence. Katham punaha, how? Brahmanaha shastra pramanakatvam uchyate. How can Brahman have Shastra as its pramana? How can, if there is Brahman, how can Shastram be the pramanam for Brahman? If you say Brahman is a fact, if Brahman is a vastu, if Brahman is a reality, then how can that Brahman which is a reality, how can that be the topic of Veda? What is already cannot be the topic of Veda. This world cannot be the topic of Veda. Why? Because it is bhutartha. If it is bhutartha, then it should be available for pratyakshadi pramana. If you say Brahman also is bhutartha, then it should be the topic of pratyakshadi pramana. Therefore, the topic of Veda should not be Brahman. That's why he begins the objection like this. Katham punaha brahmanaha shastra pramanakatvam uchyate. How can you say that the topic of Veda is Brahman? Yavata, because Jaimini says, Jaimini is the one who has written the Dharma Mimamsa. Jaimini has written, he has analyzed the Dharma. He says like this, Amnayasya kriyarthatvat, Amnayasya vedasya. Amnayaha means Veda. Amnayasya vedasya kriyarthatvat. Because Veda is meant to help you perform rituals. It is dedicated to teaching actions. Amnayasya kriyarthatvat. Because Veda is meant to teach man the rituals, kriyarthatvat. Anarthakyam atadarthanam. Atadarthanam. Akriyarthanam. Atadarthanam means akriyarthanam. The statements which are unconnected to kriya. Anarthakyam are futile. I mean, a very big sutra. The whole Veda is meant to teach you rituals, puja part, physical and mental worships, which can help you live happily in the creation. Jiva has to live in the creation. And in order to live in this creation, you require pleasures. And Veda helps the Jiva perform rituals. And the whole Veda is meant to teach only Kriya. Therefore, if there are any Vakyas within the Veda, if there are Vakyas within the Veda, which do not pertain to any Kriya, which are seemingly unconnected to Kriya, then those Vakyas by themselves are useless. And to make them useful, connect them to Vidivakya, Kriya Parva. The statements which have no direct reference to action are useless. Like as I said, pumpkin is useless. By itself it is what? It is useless. But connected to cooking sambar. A pumpkin is good. By itself is of no use. But because it is good, therefore use it in making sambar. Then that Vakya becomes useful. Connected to Kriya, they become useful. Unconnected to Kriya, they are useless. That is why Amnayasya Kriyarthatvat, Veda, because it is meant to teach only Kriyas, therefore Atadarthanam Akriyarthanam Anarthakyam, Anarthakyam means they're all Anarthakas, means they're all useless. But we can't say there are certain Vakyas in Veda which are useless. What Jaimini means is by themselves they are useless. To make them useful, connect them to Vidivakya. Clear? This sutra. Iti, in this manner, Kriya Paratvam, dedication to teaching rituals. Kriya Paratvam. Shastrasya, Shastraka, Pradarshitam has been shown. In this particular Jaimini Sutram, it has been shown that the whole Veda is meant to teach only the rituals, the physical and mental worships, and therefore any Vakya that is not directly connected to Kriya, then it should be somehow or other connected to Kriya and made useful, and unconnected to rituals. Any statement unconnected to rituals is of no use. Okay. Ataha, therefore, now please read. Ataha Vedantanam Anarthakyam Akriyarthatvat. Now the Purva Pakshi says, hey, going by this logic, going by this Jaimini Sutra, your Vedanta is, Vedantas are all useless. Ataha, therefore, Vedantanam, meaning Upanishadam, all your Upanishads, Sari Upanishadon ka. Anarthakyam means anarthaka. All your Vedanta is useless. Straight away is saying, all your Vedanta is useless. Anarthakyam is useless. Why? Because your Vedanta doesn't talk about any action. Akriyarthatvat. It is not meant to teaching Kriya. Kriyarthatvat means because meant for Kriya. Akriyarthatvat means not meant for Kriya, means not meant for teaching Kriya. Vedanta doesn't teach any Kriya. It doesn't talk about any Kriya. So the whole Vedanta has no direct connection to Kriya. There is no connection. These are all statements of facts. God created the universe. It is not a Kriya Paravakyam. God created the universe, it is just a statement of history. God created the world is a kind of a statement of an event. It is not a statement of you should do. You should do is called Kriyapara. Somebody else did it, if I say, then that is not Kriyapara. You should do it. That is called Kriyapara. God created the world, and having created the world, He entered the world. Therefore, the whole world is Ishvara. These are all what? These are all Bhutartha Paravakyas. These are all statements of certain facts or events. Now, the statements of facts are seemingly events. These statements cannot be considered as statements of action. And because they are not statements of you should do, they are not statements of actions to be done by me, Vedanta doesn't have the statements of action that I should do. Therefore, it is not Kriyaparam. If it is not Kriyaparam, then it is useless. Therefore, Ataha Vedantanam Anarthakyam. Why? Akriyarthatva. Because they are not, is not talking to me, is not telling me what I should do. Vedanta doesn't tell me what I should do. Now, but then, in Veda we can't conclude there can be Vakyas which are useless. Therefore, to make these seemingly useless statements, to make this Vedanta which is seemingly, apparently useless, and to make it useful, we have to somehow or other connect it to karma, kriya. And how can we connect it to karma? We can connect Vedanta to Karma Kanda by way of interpreting Vedanta as the illuminer of the nature of the actor, the nature of the means, and the nature of the Devata whom we have to worship in the Kriya. In this manner, we have to interpret Vedanta, that it is talking about the Karta, that it is talking about Devata, and it is talking about the sadhana, so that we can use that knowledge in our rituals. Then the Vedanta also becomes useful. And it is useful for Kriya, then it is useful. That knowledge we can use in actions. And therefore here, Purvapakshi gives a concession. Let us not conclude that Vedanta is useless. Let us say that it is useful by way of giving us some information, which information can be used in our rituals. Clear? That he says. Kartru Devatadi Prakashanartatvena va Kriyavidhi Seshatvam Upasanadi Kriyantara Vidhanarthatvam va. He says, either you connect Vedanta to Karmakanda, or you connect Vedanta to some upasana that is enjoined, prescribed within Vedanta. You have to hear this statement. Either connect Vedanta to Karmakanda, or connect it to the upasana that is prescribed right in Vedanta. वेदांत से पहले आने वाला जो कर्मकांड है उसके साथ जोड़ दो वेदांत को. वेदांत से पहले आने वाला जो कर्मकांड है उसके साथ जोड़ दो और use your entire Vedanta jnanam to worship Brahman in your mind, which is prescribed in वेदांत के अंतर्गत, वेदांत के अंदर ही जो बताया गया उपासना, उस उपासना के साथ जोड़ लो वेदांत को कर्मकांड से जोड़ दो या वेदांत को उपासना के साथ जोड़ दो. कर्म इज ए क्रिया, उपासना ऑल्सो इज क्रिया, action. In that way what happens? Vedanta becomes useful. Unconnected to kriya, it is useless. But we can't say it is useless. We can't say that being a Shraddha, that Veda also has a few statements which are totally useless. ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता है. Our Shraddha for Veda doesn't allow us to conclude that there are some statements which are useless. And therefore, there must be some purpose. We have to find it out. And that purpose is that they are all connected to, they facilitate action. That is it. Now please see. Kartru devatadi prakashanarthatvena. Kartru means who should be the performer. Like, Swarga Kameshti, who should perform? The one who wants to have Swarga. Swarga Kamaha. That Swarga Kamaha, that particular word is describing the person. That is what is called Kartrujnana. Who should perform? Not anybody can perform any action. A person having this particular desire can perform this action. In this manner, it has to, Vedanta can tell, like Swarga Kamo Ejeta, similarly Moksha Kamo, he can do Upasita. Just as a person who has the desire to go to heaven can perform Swarga Kameshti Yagam, similarly if you are a Moksha Kami, then you can perform some Upasana or some Karma, in which you use Brahmajnana. Brahmajnana means what? The information that you receive from Vedanta. And what is the information? That Brahman is Nityam, Shuddham, Shantam, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Nitya Buddha, Shuddha, Svabhava, etc., etc. You can collect all those things. Then you can do information, you can do Upasana. Brahman is Nityam, Brahman is Muktam, Shuddham, Buddham, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Nirantaram, Apurvam, Anaparam, Anantaram, Abhakyam, etc., etc. You can go on. Able to follow. In that way, Vedanta, the information given by Vedanta, either you connect it to Upasana or you connect it to the Karma. Therefore, Vedanta, how does it become useful? It highlights who has to perform. That is called Kartrujnanam it gives. Then what else does Vedanta, which information does it give? Devatadi. And the nature of the Devata. So Vedanta talks about a Devata, and the Devata is Brahma Devata. Prakashanena, by highlighting the nature of the Karta, the performer, and by highlighting the qualities of the Devata called Brahma, Kartru Devata, the Prakashanarthatvena va. Kriyavidhi Seshatvam, it gets connected to Kriyavidhi. Kriya Vidhi Seshatvam. Kriya Vidhi means that main Vidhi Vakya. Sambar Banavo, that is called. We started the class there, please don't forget it. If you want to enjoy Sambar, then cook Sambar. This is called Vidhi Vakya. This is what is called Vidhi Vakya. This is called Kriya Paravakya, a statement of injunction. Do it. This is called Vidivakya. Pumpkin is good. It is a Vastu Paravakya, but it is of no use by itself. Therefore, you connect it to the Kriya Paravakyam. Therefore, that pumpkin is good becomes Arthavada Paravakya. Arthavada means what? Praising the virtues of pumpkin so that it gets connected to cooking. In that manner, you praise Brahma so that you can worship it. So it gives the jnanam of, by way of giving the jnanam of karta, by way of giving the jnanam of the devata, the whole Vedanta gets connected to vidhivakya, kriyaparam, that means action. Okay? Kriya vidhi sesha, that is called kriya vidhi seshatvam. Sesha means connection. So Vedanta becomes useful by way of giving you the information about as to who has to perform and the information about Brahmadeva. Or upasanadi kriyantara vidhanatvam va. Or it is meant to upasanadi kriyantara vidhanatvam. Or it is meant, the Vedanta is meant to prescribe upasana. It is meant to make the person do upasana. That is a kriyantara. Kriyantara, one is physical karma, that is one kriya, and upasana is called kriyantara. Kriyantara means another kriya. You have to pick up the language. Kriya. Manushya means Manushya. Manushantara, another man. Another man. Ghata means pot. Ghatantara, another pot. Vriksha, trees. Vrikshantara, marga, way. Margantara. Sometimes you say in Hindi, margantar nahi. Margantar nahi matlab दूसरा रास्ता नहीं. दूसरा रास्ता नहीं. So karma kanda, the physical karma is one kriya, whereas the mental worship is called another kriya, that is called kriyantara, vidhana, prescription, arthatva. Therefore the whole Vedanta gives you the knowledge about Brahma to prescribe Brahma upasana, which is another kriya different from karmakanda. Karmakanda is the physical worship, whereas Vedanta is meant to enjoy mental worship, which is kriyantara. It is another kriya. Thus, connect Vedanta either to karmakanda or connect it to upasana, that is prescribed right in Vedanta. In either way, it is kriya rupam. Therefore, kartva devadadi prakashanatvatvena va kriyam viseshatvam vasanadi kriyantara, that kriyanta vidhan. Kriyantara ra has to be added there. Kriyantara vidhanarthatvam va. It is another kriya, past. Now we ask a question. Hey, why can't Vedanta talk about a fact, a reality? Why should it always talk about action? Maybe it is revealing a reality about us. Maybe it is revealing a reality about Jagat, having nothing to do with any physical or mental worship. Maybe it is revealing something by understanding which one can get liberated. In answer to this question, Purvapakshi says, please read, Nahi Parinishthita Vastu Pradipadanam Sambhavati Pratyakshadi Vishayatvat Parinishthita Vastunaha Parinishtita vastu. Parinishtita means a fact that is already there. Arishtita. Sthita, Nishtita, Parinishtita. When you combine Parini and Sthita, it becomes Parinishtita. That which is always there. The fact that is always there is called Parinishtita. Vastu, a fact. Pratipadanam, unfoldment. Unfolding the nature of an ever-present fact is not possible for Veda. Veda cannot, na sambhavati. Nahi sambhavati means is not possible. Veda cannot unfold. Veda is not meant to unfold the nature of the ever-accomplished fact. Nahi sambhavati. Why? Because any reality that is already there should be pratyakshadi vishayatva. Any reality that is there has to be the topic of pratyakshadi. Whatever is there, it should be any reality that is there should be available for perception and inference. The world is there, it should be available for perception and inference. And if there is something called the unlimited, that also should come, Brahma Vastu is there, then that should be available for perception and inference. If it's not available for perception, then it should be available for inference. And what is available for perception and inference should not be the topic of Veda Pramana. In fact, what is the topic of Pratyakshadi Pramanam cannot be the topic of Veda Pramana. That is why he says Nahi Sambhavati. It's not possible for Veda to reveal an already established fact. Because any reality should be available for perception and inference. And then if I talk about this world, my words that talk about the world is not a pramana, it is a restatement. Pratyaksha is a pramana. Similarly, even when Vedanta talks about Brahma, it is only a restatement of what is available for Pratyakshadi Pramanam. Therefore, Veda cannot reveal Brahma Vastu. Why? It can't reveal Brahma Vastu because that is the topic of Pratyakshadi Pramana. What is there? Listen, koi baat nahi. The letter also has to little Shravanam. Doesn't matter, it will go. Why Veda can't reveal Brahma Vastu? Because Brahma Vastu is a matter for Pratyakshana. And what is the matter for Pratyakshana? Anumana cannot be the topic of Veda because the same thing cannot be the topic of two Pramanas. The topic of the eyes cannot be the topic of the ears. That is called Nahi Sambhavati. It's not possible for the eyes to hear the sound. It is not possible for the Veda to reveal Brahma Vastu. Why? Because it is Vastu. And if it is a Vastu, then it should be available for Pratyakshadi Pramanam. Therefore, Pratipadanam. You see, Parinishtita Vastu Pratipadanam Nahi Sambhavati. It's not possible. Unfoldment of Brahma Vastu is not possible for Veda. Nahi Parinashtita Vastu Pratipadanam Sambhavati. It's not possible. Why? Pratyakshadi Vishayatva. Because it is a topic of Pratyaksha Adi. Adi Padat, Pratyaksha, Anumana, Arthapatti, Anupalapti, Upmana, सारी पंच प्रमाणों का किसी न किसी प्रमाण का विषय होगा. प्रत्यक्षादि प्रमाण विषयत्वात् परिनिष्ठित वस्तुनः प्रत्यक्षादि प्रमाण विषयत्वात् तस्य प्रतिपादनम् वेदस्य न संभवति. प्रत्यक्षादि विषयत्वात् परिनिष्ठित वस्तुनः. क्लियर? तत्प्रतिपादने च हेय उपादेय रहिते पुरुषार्थ अभावात्. तत्प्रतिपादने च, supposing the Veda unfolds the nature of Brahman in just stating the nature of a fact. Tat pratipadane means what? Parinishtita vastu pratipadane. In just stating the nature of a fact, you don't get either heyam or upade. Meaning, in listening to the description of a fact, neither my sorrow goes away, nor pleasure comes. Upadeyam means to be gained sukham. Heyam means to be got rid of dukkham. That to be got rid of that dukkham in my mind is called heyam. The pleasure I need to gain is called upadeyam. You have to pick up the language. We have seen it. Heyam means what? To be got rid of dukkham. Everybody wants to get rid of dukkham. That dukkham is called heyam. To be gained sukham is called upadeyam. But by just listening to a statement of description of a fact, neither my dukkham goes away, nor I get any sukham. So kya milega? Brahman is eternal, I hear. By hearing that Brahman is eternal, what do I get? Neither my dukkham goes away, nor I get sukham. That's no use. Brahman is nityam, satyam, shuddham, buddham, muktam. Hey, you can go on hearing these descriptions for 1,000 years. It remains what? It is not heyam, not upadeyam. It doesn't take away my sorrow, nor can it give me shanti. It only gives me, those words give me some information about a reality, some object. It may be physical object, it may be some Brahmavastu. Therefore, here the Purvapakshi says, Tat pratipadane cha, in describing an accomplished fact, heya upadeya rahite. And what is that? And then you are describing the Brahman as what? It is heya rahitam and upadeya rahitam. Meaning it is neither something that you can get, nor is it something that you can get rid of. A fact is neither heyam nor upadeya. A fact is there. Neither I need to create it, nor I can get rid of it. I can't destroy a fact. And I can't create a fact. A fact is there. If we talk about pleasure, then what is it? Upadeyam. It's something to be gained. If we talk about dukkham, then what is it? Heyam. Dukkham is something to be got rid of. Sukham is something to be gained. But in fact, a table, what is it? It is neither heyam nor upadeyam. It is a topic, it is something, a matter for some jnanam, information. Okay. The table is, I come to know, oh, this is a table. That's all that jnanam. But it can neither take away my sorrow, nor it can give me that information, nor it can give me any sukham. Similarly, Brahmajnanam also is what? Neither it can take away my sorrow, nor it can give me any pleasure. Heya upadeya rahite. So when I listen to a statement of fact like Brahma, Purushartha abhava, I don't achieve anything. Purushartha means what I want. That is called Purushena arthyate prarthyate iti Purushartha. What everybody loves to have. That is called Purushartha. Purushartha wants what everybody wants. I want to be happy. Therefore, if I gain happiness, that is called Purushartha. I want to get rid of dukkham. So when I get rid of dukkham, that is also called Purushartha. So gaining sukham and getting rid of dukkham is called Purushartha. But by knowing a pot as a pot, there is no Purushartha. By knowing Brahman as unlimited, there is no Purushartha. So in knowledge, there is no Purushartha. Jnanam doesn't give you, doesn't take away pain, nor it gives you pleasure. But what is it that can bring you pleasure? Hey, you use that knowledge and perform some action. That action brings the result, and when you enjoy the result, when you eat the result, when you see the result, when you touch the result, smell the result, use it for your physical and mental comfort, then there is sukha prapti. And if there was some dukkha, there is dukkha nivritti. In this manner, the means to sukha prapti, purushartha siddhi, the means to purushartha siddhi is only kriya, action. Not jnana. Because jnana means purushartha. That's why he says, Purushartha abhavat. There is no Purushartha in gaining some information about a reality, whatever may be that reality. If by knowing a pot, it doesn't make me happy, how is by knowing Brahman going to make me happy? If Ghatajnanam doesn't liberate me from dukkha, then how is Brahmajnanam going to liberate me from dukkha? Why? Because there is no difference between Ghatajnanam and Brahmajnanam, because both are jnanas. And there is no difference between Ghatajnanam and Brahmajnanam because the jnanam pertaining to Bhutartha. Ghata is already there and Brahman also is already there. Therefore, if Ghatajnanam can't give me any Purushartha, Brahmajnanam also cannot give me any Purushartha. But then why does Vedanta give Brahmajnanam? It gives you Brahmajnanam so that you can use it. That information you can use it to do upasana, and that upasana being an action, and action is within the law of action, within the law of karma, and therefore any mental worship is going to bring about some punya, and punya brings about the sukha vishayam, and sukha vishayam gives you, see, karma gives you adrishtam, punya, and punya brings you vishaya, and vishaya creates sukha. That is the phala. Then you feel, oh, when you close your eyes and say, it's very nice, that is called sukham. That is called sukham. There that karma is over. The karma that you did for that sukham gets exhausted in enjoying that karma. Enjoying that sukham. Therefore, with every sukham, you are getting liberated from karma. In every dukkham, you get liberated from previous bad karma. So dukkham exhausts the previous bad karma, and sukham exhausts the good karma. So good karma, bad karma of the past, therefore the past gets burnt off in the present. Past is not eternal. My actions can't be eternal, they just become zero. When I enjoy the sukham and dukkham, therefore the only means for sukham is karma, action, kriya. The only means to get rid of dukkham also is kriya. Avoid bad karma so that you avoid dukkham. Do good karma so that you get sukham. And therefore, what is the use of the description of Brahman, this information about Brahman? The information about Brahman in itself is of no use, but it can be useful if you use it in doing puja. Hey Bhagavan, Hey Bhagavan, Hey Brahma Devata, you are Satyam, you are Jnanam, you are Anantam. In this manner, you go on praising Brahma Devata. Then that prayer inside prayer, it creates punya, and punya takes you to certain objects. You find yourself surrounded by objects, and when you enjoy those objects, you will get sukham. That is why some people are born surrounded by sukha sadhana, and some people are born surrounded by dukkha sadhana. Sometimes you are guided by your karma to be either by surrounded by dukkha sadhanas or surrounded by sukha sadhanas. You can't say it's all luck. Luck we mean only the kriya, punya karma, papa. Suddenly you find yourself surrounded by all musibats. You never worked for it, but you find yourself amid it. You don't work. Now you are not working, but you must have work. And therefore, my dear Siddhanti, Vedanta Siddhanti, you better wind up your shop for teaching Brahma Devata from Brahma Jnanam. You better teach Vedanta as an Arthavada connected to Upasana, not Sakshat Sadhanam for any moksha. Any parinishchita vastu pratipadanam sambhogati soba tat pratipadane jahe upade raite purushartha bhava. Therefore, a Mimamsaka's concept of purushartha is dukkha nivritti and sukha prapti. And the means to sukha prapti is karma. And the means to dukkha nivritti is karma. And therefore all the knowledge that the Veda gives, including Vedanta, whatever knowledge it gives, it should be used either to facilitate karma or to facilitate upasana. And karma upasana, when they are performed, they create punya. And punya takes you to objects. You find suddenly yourself amid objects. Suddenly you find yourself in heaven. Suddenly you find yourself in a very, favorable conditions. And then you enjoy them. And when you enjoy them in your mind, what is there? Sukha vritti. And that is the result of? That is the result of the karma. That is the result. It is only when the sukham takes place in your mind, that is called the purushartha. When the dukkham goes away from your mind, that is called purushartha. The means to it is kriya. Clear? And then he says, in karma kanda, we are concluding, don't worry. In karma kanda, there are vakyas which are not directly connected to kriya, but there are a lot of vakyas which are statements of objects and statements of events. Those statements of objects and statements of events, even though they are themselves not statements of action, but the statements of objects and statements of events, they are made useful by way of connecting them to the statements of kriya, called vidhi vakya. Clear? Now he explains how you see in Karma Kanda we connect all the Arthavada Vakyas to Vidhi Vakyam. In that manner you better connect the Vedanta Vakyas, Arthavada Vakyas to Vidhi Vakyam. Brahmani Satyam is Arthavada Vakya. It's like pumpkin is very good, is what? Arthavada Vakya. Therefore connect it to what? Therefore use it in the act of making sambar, which is going to give you sukham. That is Purushartha Sadhana. Similarly, Brahmani Satyam Jnanam Anantam, that information, so what should I do if Brahmani is Jnana? Hey, if Brahmani is Jnanam Satyam Anantam, then you worship it, use that Jnanam in your Upasana. Understand? Use it in your Upasana, then it becomes useful. Use that knowledge in Upasana, then it is useful. Unconnected to Upasana, that information is useless. Similarly, the knowledge that pumpkin is good, that knowledge by itself is useless. But use that knowledge in making sambar, useful. In that manner, in Karma Kanda, we have so many Arthavada Vakyas, Stutipara Vakyas as well as Nindapara Vakyas. Both of them we connect to Vidhi Vakya to make them useful. In that manner, you better connect your Vedanta Vakyas to Upasana or Karma. In that manner, you can make them useful. To make this statement, he cites some examples how in Karma Kanda we connect the Arthavada Vakyas to Vidhi Vakya. For that are the examples like Saha Arodit, etc. And these Vakyas we will see in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamula Purnamachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Pratishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Hari Om, what happened? How are you feeling? No, please don't do that. You're all right. Improving, much better. Please rest. Don't come to the classes. Abhi nahi. Another few days, then it will. If we can make it, it is all right. If it is not inconvenient, it is all right. Hari Om Ji. Namah Shivaya. How are you? इनके पास टाइम है ना, इंटरेस्ट है ना, पेशेंस. एक सूत्र को समझते समझते आदमी को he becomes restless. है ना? But still you have no choice. The problem is you have no patience, but you have no choice also. Now, what is more important? That you have no patience is to be considered, or that it is choiceless is considered to be considered? Which is more weighty? That it is choiceless is weighty, or that you have no patience is weighty? If one may not have patience, so what? It is choiceless. Vedanta is choiceless. Similarly, certain terminology. Some terminology also is choiceless. Fundamentals also you can learn choiceless. Hari Om. ठीक है, ले लो भाई. I don't need so much class. Thank you. Amnayasya kriyarthatvad anarthakyam adadarthana. Brahmastra. Karma Mimamsakas Brahmastra. Whatever you do, kriya, everything is useless. A very big thing. This is a Jaimini Sutra. What he says is right in the context of Karma Kanda. It is not in the context of the whole Veda. Because he is writing only Dharma Mimamsa. Now Dharma Mimamsa, Jaimini is only writing Dharma Mimamsa. So he can only talk about Dharma, the Karma Kanda. He cannot make statements about Vedanta. Whereas the Mimamsaka interprets that Jaimini Sutra as inclusive of Vedanta. So later on Bhashyakara is going to say, we don't object to, we don't really what we call contest. We don't contest what Jaimini says. What Jaimini says is right within the context of Karmakanda. All Arthavada Paravakyas must be connected to Vidhivakyam. He is right. But in Vedanta there is no Vidhi. How are you going to connect it? Brahmajnanam can be connected to Vidhivakya provided there is Vidhi. In Vedanta koi Vidhi hai nahi. How are you going to connect it? Context is Vidhi, then everything gets connected to that Vidhi. But Vedanta is not a context of Vidhi. Do this, aisa to hai nahi. It never says do this. It only says you are this. It doesn't say you do this. Therefore, Jaimini Sutra is relevant only to Karma Kanda. Jaimini is a Mimamsaka in the sense he has analyzed the Dharma. But Mimamsaka school is different. Came later on. They took a stand against Vedanta. That Mimamsaka school is different. Jaimini is a Mimamsaka in the sense he analyzed the Dharma. He did not take a stand against Vedanta. So this is very good. And in our Laukika, Vyavahara also is like Karma Kanda. One observes, because we don't look upon knowledge as an end in itself. We use knowledge in our actions. This is Laukika. So just as we use Laukika Jnanam in karma, we use knowledge in action, and action brings the Purushartha. In the same manner, in Veda also it should be the same. Use the Vaidika Jnanam for Vaidika karma, and you get the Sukha Prapti. Laukika Jnanam is used for Laukika karma. Vaidika Jnanam is used for Vaidika karma. Therefore, both Laukika Jnanam as well as Vaidika Jnanam are meant for karma. Knowledge of a fact can never be an end in itself, because it's always used for an action. Knowledge of a fact can never be an end. In order to be an end in itself, its end is nothing but Sukha Prapti and Dukha Nivritti. That is called culmination. Knowledge of a fact, for it to be an end, it should culminate in my Sukha Prapti. Purushartha Siddhi is the criterion. The criterion is the Purushartha Siddhi. If I don't lose my Dukkha and do not get Sukham, then my particular Vishaya Jnanam, the knowledge of a fact, cannot be considered an end in itself. So I have to use it for Kriya and wait for result, and I enjoy it. I will be made to enjoy it. I will enjoy it. It will culminate in my Sukham. That is Purushartha. Oh, but if it is temporary, it is temporary. Koi baat nahi, do another karma. Problem kya hai? You do one karma, you get Sukham. Temporary. You do another karma, you will get another Sukham. In this manner, keep on doing Kriyas and keep on gaining Sukham, Sukham, Sukham. That is the only program that you as a Jiva have. There is no other program. This is Mimamsa. A lot of sense, it makes a lot of sense to begin with. If you don't go into the topic properly, it makes sense. That's how it is anyway. What is the use of Brahma Jnanam? Unless it is useful in your creating punya. And Brahma Jnanam itself doesn't create any punya. It destroys ignorance, but it doesn't create punya.
It doesn't lead to consumption.
Useless. Consumption must lead to sukham. Supposing you consume and get dukkha. That is also, but generally consumption leads to sukham. I must get sukham. Phalam. That is why some people, even though they don't have great objects, but they have sukham in their mind. That means good karma. They may have lot of money around them, but there is no sukham in the mind. That means what? There is a lot of papa karma also. Sometimes you have a lot of money, but you are going through series of problems. That means there was some good karma which brought you money. So it gave you some pleasure, and the pleasure of owning money. And then there is a lot of papa which is manifesting now, and that is giving dukkha. And karma, nothing can come in the way of karma in producing result. Even if you have an empire, if dukkham has to come, it will come. It has to come, and it does come. It does come. Okay.